Shares of Virgin Galactic jumped as much as 34% today on relatively little news. There was a couple of little news items today, but I want to dig into exactly what we learned, why the stock has been as volatile as it has recently, and what to expect from Virgin Galactic over the next few months and maybe a couple of quarters, because we're going to have a flight coming up in the next few weeks. That's apparently something that the market was reacting to today, although we've known that that has been coming for quite a while. And the real milestones for the Delta class spacecraft have really just begun. The company is going to be assembling those spacecraft this year. Ground testing is going to be happening this year. So that's really what's going to be the important pieces happening. But that's not what the market was focused on today, at least. So dig into that. My name is Travis Hoium. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And thanks to this video's sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. So let's first look at the market's reaction today. This was the headline from MarketWatch today. Virgin Galactic shares were up in anticipation of a milestone mission. So the company's Galactic 7 is going to be flying. The flight window opens January 8th. Typically, these flights happen on that first day. So probably going to happen January 8th, maybe January 9th. But that's what MarketWatch is reporting. And if you follow Virgin Galactic for a while, you know that in anticipation of a lot of these flights, the stock can actually rise pretty significantly, despite the fact that we know that these flights are coming weeks, if not months in advance. I have been saying on this channel that the next flight was going to be in June, so we've known this for quite a while. But it's still something that the market reacts to, and there are publications like MarketWatch that can drive a stock's performance on a short-term basis. But this is probably not the most important thing going on at Virgin Galactic. It's actually going to be the company's Delta spacecraft. Now, one thing that I do want to highlight, I was at Galactic 6 in part because Virgin Galactic was trying to bring out a lot of analysts to show them the facility, what they're doing with Delta, how the spacecraft is going to be built. When Galactic 6 happened was actually the middle of earnings season for a lot of the industrial companies. So Galactic 7 will likely have a lot of analysts at that flight. So don't be surprised if you see a lot of analyst notes coming immediately after the Galactic 7 flight. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to say positive things or that they're going to change their price targets or their ratings, but there will at least be more activity in talking about Virgin Galactic after this, I would anticipate, because there's going to be boots on the ground actually seeing what's going on with this company. So just something to kind of keep in mind. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of analyst activity in that June 9th, 10th range. So what should we be focusing on? This is the kind of thing that we should be focusing on. This was earlier this month of their earnings report. They're talking about the production and finished parts for Delta. This is their next generation spacecraft. They're going to be building 2 of these spacecraft. They're about $50 to $60 million a piece. Should have a very high return on investment, less than 6-month payback when they actually get going. But it's not going to be until 2026 that these are actually going to be flying with commercial passengers. What they're doing right now is building out their production facility. This is the outside of the facility in Phoenix, Arizona. This is a picture of the interior. They're going to be able to be assembling 2 of these Delta spacecraft at a time. And there's also space for a mothership there as well. The Iron Bird is going to be doing their ground testing. So this is a schematic drawing of that. That's going to be the biggest milestones in the next 6 months to a year. It's going to be the testing that's going on, verifying all the things that they're building and changing for Delta. The actual shape of the spacecraft is not changing significantly. I believe it's a couple inches longer than the Unity spacecraft that they're going to be flying in June, but they know where all the stresses are on the spacecraft, so they know what they need to test, where the sensors need to be. All of that kind of stuff is going to be more efficient with Delta, but they need to verify all these things. And so that's what this ground testing facility and all the ground tests that are going on are going to be for. And then this is a look at, this doesn't have dates on it, but this is what you should basically expect over the next couple of years. We are somewhere in this range right here. The design is largely complete. Now they're doing tooling development and parts fabrication. Assembly is going to be the next piece. And then we get to a long ground and flight test period before you get to commercial service. That is probably going to be in third quarter of 2026 if everything goes to plan. But if everything does go to plan, the economics are pretty amazing for the Delta spacecraft. They are now talking about ticket prices in the $600,000 range. That has gone up basically 2x since a couple of years ago. It was about $300,000, then increased to $450. Now they're talking about $600,000. Hopefully that indicates that there's a really strong demand for these space flights. I know that there have been people who have paid over $1 million to basically jump the line and get onto Galactic 6 and Galactic 7. So there's definitely some demand at that higher price point, but is there enough demand for 1,000 people a year? Well, we will see. So we'll see how that goes. But potentially the economics are going to be really strong because there is about $3.6 million in potential revenue per flight. That won't happen immediately because they are going to be having those people who have been in line for longer fly first. But in time, the revenue run rate is going to be about $450 million with those 2 Delta spacecraft. So the company should be able to get to profitability if they can do that. There's a lot of ifs there, but that's the plan. What we need to see now, and what's going to be more important than just the flight in June, is going to be what are all these milestones and are they being hit in a timely manner? So expect over the next couple of quarters, we should actually get some dates behind this, when pieces should be fabricated, when assembly is going to happen, when all these tests are going to be taking place. And that should give investors a little bit of confidence as each one of these milestones is ticked off. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. So once again, it's kind of a waiting game for Virgin Galactic, and that's going to lead to a lot of volatility in the stock because a lot of investors just don't know what to expect. If we're just waiting for the next 2 years to see if all these milestones are hit and then eventually commercial operations end up happening, that's just going to be the kind of stock that a lot of investors are going to say, hey, I'm out on that. So that appears to be what's going on in the market today. But I want to put some numbers behind this because the company is not in a terrible financial position. $867 million in cash and marketable securities on the balance sheet. Cash burn was $126 million in the most recent quarter, so about a $500 million run rate. That gets you to about 2 years. Management has said that they're going to cut that cash burn a little bit, but then a lot of that cash ends up going to capital expenditures as they're building out Delta. So there is going to be a balance there between the cash that's on the balance sheet and the amount of cash that they're burning from the business. But right now, the market cap is only about half of the cash that's on the balance sheet, $420 million as I'm recording. Now, that's maybe not the best proxy for what the actual value of the company is, but it shows how little value the market is putting on any potential future earnings. Now, with all of that said, the challenge for Virgin Galactic is going to be making it to the point where Delta launches and then actually ramping up those operations so they can get to cash flow positive and have a sustainable business on their hands. That is still the hope, but we're still probably 2 years away from knowing whether that's actually going to be a reality. And any delays in the launch of the Delta spacecraft and both of those two commercial spacecraft is going to be potentially very, very detrimental to the company. So we'll see what happens. Definitely in a waiting game right now for Virgin Galactic, but you get these crazy days of volatility on relatively little news. We knew that Galactic 7 was coming, but still the market is reacting to it today. Wouldn't be surprised to see it sell off over the next couple of weeks, which we've seen happen around Galactic 6 as well. So there's your update on Virgin Galactic. What do you think about this company? Is it one you're going to be willing to hold on to for the next couple of years? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.